Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So, channel members, your next Major Arcana series video will be posted on Thanksgiving. So definitely check that out. It'll be on Monday. If you are interested in the Major Arcana series videos, then definitely check out the membership link in the description box below. There will be a members collective message posted later this evening, so check that out. And let's go ahead. Let's see. Okay. So one more shuffle. Let's see here. Okay, I'm taking reversals, I'm being told. Okay, so when I first stepped into this space, I saw hands, and the hands were cupped. And there was this waterfall pouring into the hands. The hands were overflowing with this water, and the water didn't really look like water. It was very, it was almost like a glitter fall. And I took it to be energy. Now, the hands changed, and as the hands changed, the water changed, the color of the glitter changed. And this water was healing the land. The scene started with very parched, desert-like, cracked land. And by the very end of it, after it had gone through a whole sequence of colors and a whole sequence of different hands, there was a forest in this place that I was seeing. So this message is for a collective of people who have been channeling healing energy in one way or another throughout most, if not all, of their incarnations. Then I saw this primitive sort of man, and he was very close to the land, like very early anatomically modern human. That's kind of how it seemed. And it was like an ancient aspect of self. And as it stood, a shadowy hand was putting a black stone inside of its heart. The black stone prevented this ancient human from being able to heal. And so I saw all these images flash where it was trying and it couldn't, and it was trying in the way that it knew how. So I don't want to go into the details of what I was seeing in terms of like how it was trying to heal, because it's not pertinent to this reading, but it wasn't necessarily the way that we think of healing. The message was, however, that this being kind of gave up, and if it could only see what I was being shown, which is that when the black stone was put into its heart, while the heart space may have been blocked off and that healing energy no longer flowed a certain way and the inspiration for it no longer flowed a certain way, the rest of him lit up like a Christmas tree. And so the energy was still with him. It was emanating from him and manifesting in a different way. But it was a way that, because he was expecting it to happen, this particular method or through this modality, he wasn't able to see it. And so he was never able to actually honor it and use it the way that it was designed to be used. So the person this message is for thinks they're blocked or shut down, right? Oftentimes we think these things due to a sense of our own stubbornness and our own willful direction, right? That's part of the Emperor's energy. Now, the Emperor, he is used to having say, right? I direct it this way. And that's something that is really preventing whoever I'm reading for from exploring the way that this energy is trying to manifest now. You may not even think that energy is with you anymore. Yeah, you may feel that it has moved on and that you've shut down or closed up in some way. We have the Chariot card, which is represented by Cancer, and Cancer is a crab, right? It's got that hard exterior and that hard shell. And so the Chariot card is also explaining that this sort of fiery energy has moved. It's switched into different functions within our body or within our psyche. For some of you, the reason why this message is coming through is because you're being urged to step away from the view that the energy of healing has to happen a particular way and that it has to look like this particular thing. There are other ways that it may be taking place, and it's appropriate to take a step back in order to really assess our life and view how this may be happening in other ways that we hadn't quite anticipated. It might be your voice and the words that you use to say to people or speak to people. It might be in your thoughts, which then manifest externally here with the Ace of Wands, those things usually take time to catch up to each other, right? The things that we're manifesting usually take a little bit of time to manifest in our external environment, depending on how far away they are from us, right? Physical healing or an emotional healing or like a situational healing, those are things that require a lot of little pieces to change in order to culminate, right? So it takes some time. It's much easier to manifest things that, they're on your trajectory, and just, maybe a little jump in that timeline has to happen. But for somebody here, you are manifesting things. You may just not necessarily recognize it because it's happening in a year or 2 years or 3 years. It might be your ears and the way that you listen to others. It might be in your presence, for example, just leading by the things that you do, leading by example, right? The Hierophant. Everyone looks to the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is kind of the figurehead, the role model. And this is how the Hierophant teaches. It may be through friends and believing in people who no one else believes in. Yeah. There are people who some of you are involved in or involved with, who have kind of this, I'm just going to say it this way, it's not the truth, right? It's the way that other people perceive it. It's a very unlovable energy. They tend to push people away. They tend to stand their ground, be very argumentative, things like that. And for some of you, you're very good friends with these people, and you love them. You're not sitting on the sidelines griping about them and gossiping about them and talking down about them, right? Nobody needs friends like that. Like nobody needs friends like that. And you genuinely love this person. You may not realize how much that's healing this person or how much that means to this person. Sometimes when we believe in people who no one else believes in, when we genuinely believe in them, that is an extremely healing force in its own right. For a small portion of you, there is this energy coming through with this card also, that having strong boundaries to not engage in discordant energies when people test you with them is big, right? In other words, not enabling power struggles, or as I like to call it, karma creating, by actually disengaging. So not having to lash back, not having to get your say in, not having to address the issue, right? But saying, and walking away is huge. And the reason why is because you're taking these people who are used to behaving a certain way and getting a reaction, getting energy, getting attention, and you're essentially showing them that this isn't okay, right? There's something subconsciously that happens for some people when they engage in these sorts of power battles, that any kind of reaction, any kind of negative attention is kind of like a marker of, I get to be a victim now. I get to do this, and this is how people behave. And when you don't engage in that sort of scenario and the drama, and that can happen for all sorts of reasons. They're not bad people. A lot of them sometimes are traumatized people. So it's not to talk down about it, but they need to be shown that they can't behave that way, right? It's that tough love. And not engaging in that stops enabling individuals to act that way. And so for some of you, that's what it is. It's having very good boundaries for yourself, is actually teaching people, which, through teaching people, even if it's just a little bit, that's really helping them. Sometimes we don't help people by coddling them and showing up all the time despite their bad behavior. So for some of you, that's what this Seven of Wands is really speaking to me about. So whoever this message is for, you're being kind of guided that you're still a healer, right? You're still a healer. You still have all of that. The thing is that we're bound by some sort of belief, some sort of expectation. I did see Saturn in this when I first started, and I didn't know how that played into it, but we have the Devil card showing up again. And Saturn can represent restrictions and blocks. Again, that stone, that black stone, is also a symbol of Saturn. There seems to be something that has tried to prevent us from being able to do this, or something that we perceive that way at the very least. And this is the thing, for some of you, it may be that you came into life and you may have felt that you weren't any good at healing, right? And so but you know that you've had other lives where you were a healer, or you feel very called to be one, and you can't understand why you're feeling called to be one if it's not actually happening. Go outside the traditional modalities, right? Pay attention to, do you help people by listening to them? Do you, give good advice? Do you live your life a certain way that other people are like, you're really inspirational to me. That's how you're doing it, right? It doesn't have to be a certain way. The energies in our lives don't always manifest the way that we think they're going to. They manifest in a way that they're required to benefit the collective, right? And for some of you, you may have had a situation or a person that kind of did a lot of damage to a heart space, or you may have been involved in situations yourself and put yourself in situations with people that damaged your heart space. When we allow ourselves to stay in situations like that, that's more damage to our heart space than it would be if something was taking place that we didn't necessarily sign up for, right? Or that we didn't necessarily have a choice in. Both are terrible situations and they both do a lot of damage, but on a soul level, on an energetic level, it's really those situations where we continue to feed into it. And, and we do that for all sorts of reasons, right? Because we love the person, or because, we think this is where we're supposed to be. And when we do that, we're really doing a lot of damage to our spiritual essence or core and our own personal energy. Maybe something like that took place, and that's where the block occurred for you. Just understand that our gifts change, right? I have a lot of people that come to me and they're like, my gifts have been blocked. And the gifts haven't been blocked. We're still in this energy, right? This King of Wands. We have that energy flowing and we have the power to direct it. It's just that we had this preceding it. And whenever we come into this, it's basically a soul lesson, right? For some of you, these situations that we involved ourselves in, that we engaged in, these are lessons on how to love ourselves more, how to get ourselves out of those situations, how to no longer engage, how to take those chains off the thing and unhook ourselves so that we can go about our merry way. For some of you, that may be a situation that you were involved in. For other people, obviously, the devil isn't always a choice, right? Sometimes that is a situation that we're absolutely stuck in, and we incur some damage from those things. So just understand that while the heart space may still be healing, the heart space itself may actually be blocked for some of you, that healing energy doesn't stop flowing just because the heart space is blocked. It stops flowing the way that it did before the block, right? It redirects. And so it's a really good time to kind of step back if you recognize that as your story, and to try to assess in what other ways is it trying to manifest in your life, because now this is your new path. This is your new healing modality that you can work with, and you can maximize it to help as many people as possible and to help yourself as well. So, definitely sit with yourself. Release any limiting lenses that are preventing you from being able to see it that way, or to be able to see it a different way. They're giving me some symbols, they gave me some symbols, so I do want to run through those real fast, and then I'll close this out. An ox, a Jack Russell Terrier, an octopus charm, a gingerbread, silver bell with fluted edges, tan and white dream catcher with black and white feathers, a garden statue of a little girl whose face is kind of worn. I think her nose is missing. A 5th wedding anniversary. The name very specifically, Sheena. 1010 and 454. Now, I know that I said I was going to take reversals when I pulled these cards, but I was actually felt very strongly to turn them all upright. So we have 3 more cards that I actually felt that I had to pull. So let's see. Yeah, so this is just kind of confirmation of the whole message that we have something very beautiful to offer here. Again, with that Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles doesn't always show up the way that we intend him to, right? A lot of people don't like the Knight of Pentacles because he's very slow, and so that's how he shows up in a way that most people don't necessarily like, because everybody wants everything fast. They want things quick. But the Knight of Pentacles shows up in a way that is very solid, very strong. And so this implies that the healing energy that is available to whoever is resonating with this message is actually quite strong. And you just have to find in what way it's actually manifesting for you. This here, right? When I'm looking at this, I want you to pay attention to how these wands are shaped. Wands represent willpower. It's the direction of energy. We're very used to things maybe showing up this way or that way or that way or this way or that way, because that's what the crowd is holding. That's what's popular. But the way that we're actually holding it, it sits at a different angle than those of the crowd. So there's a different direction in which this is sort of happening than what people often publicize or popularize. So it may not happen for you. For example, if you used to be a Reiki healer and you're finding that you're not very good at it anymore, you feel like the energy isn't flowing through you anymore, there's just something missing, look in a different direction, right? There's something else that's taking place here in which that healing energy is manifesting in your life. We have to release our requirements on the energy that it has to happen the way that we want it to, right? Because it doesn't always happen that way. I wanted to, so this is actually channel members, this is what we're about to get into. So, you know, sneak peek for everybody else. The Emperor is actually the next card in the Major Arcana series. And an interesting thing about the Emperor card is he goes back to Dumuzi in Babylonian times. And when we talk about Dumuzi and the Empress is Ishtar and her various incarnations throughout, when we talk about Dumuzi, one of the things that we're really talking about is we're talking about the categories of deities who had a relationship to the sun, right? These solar deities. And I know this is supposed to be Aries, it's linked to Mars. All of those associations really come from Arthur Edward Waite, right? When we get into the stories about Dumuzi and the various offshoot gods that come from him, they're the shepherds. That's why the ram is so significant to the Emperor. It's the shepherd that becomes a god. One of the things about this god figure, I don't know if it carried into the idea of Adonis, which comes from Dumuzi, but it's the idea of almost Persephone-like, which is why one of the things that he's holding, they call it a golden globe. It's actually a golden pomegranate, because it's referencing the same story that we see with Persephone. The sun goes into the underworld for 6 months out of the year before it returns. And when we get into that energy and this being the way that it's showing up, it's saying that the energy, the sun, is still there. You just don't see it because it's hiding from your particular lens. If you were to walk around the globe, you know, you would see it, right? If you were here in the US, you know, we're in winter now. If we were to fly over to Australia or Uruguay, it would be summer right now. And that's essentially what this reading is saying, is that our lens, or like stubborn lens that we have, is what is preventing us from understanding that that energy is still there. It's just showing up in a different way, and we have to find it, right? And once you find it, this is something that you will give. This is, you know, the friendship card. Six of Cups really is about extending from a place of innocence, from a place of vulnerability, giving of ourselves to those who, she's younger, those who maybe aren't able to do it for themselves, right? So the people who aren't able to heal themselves, we're helping heal them in some way, or we're helping at least provide the inspiration to do so, which in its own right is a very healing energy. So whoever this message is for, it's still with you. It's just manifesting differently. So definitely step outside the boxes of our limitations within our society of how these things have to happen spiritually, and allow yourself to see what may be taking place around you that maybe we've been missing. So if this reading resonates for you, please hit that like button. Feel free to comment, and until next time.